third ask we'd like to have is this is a good start, we feel like, in engaging stakeholders in public education in conversations about our lives. Because the reality is that what we get told every year is that when we have a right to speak is in November when we cast the ballot. But our lives go 12 months a year. And so our experience is that teachers in the buildings hate read to achieve. Our experience is that teachers in this state are leaving in massive numbers. Our experience is that teachers feel disrespected, unheard, and ignored. So our third ask is that by the end of the week, your staff and some of the organizations that we represent and we speak for here be able to sit down and plan to have a public dialogue from the week of the 23rd to the 27th of June, where we can actually elicit feedback from the stakeholders, from students, from parents, from school workers, educators of all stripes, in what it is our schools need to be able to address the challenges like the 3% illiteracy rate that we are all concerned about.
What do you call that common interest?
So, what we'd like to hear right now is your response to those two questions.
Well, let me start with the last one and talk a little bit about our system, because our system is a representative government, and so while I'm perfectly willing to sit here and talk with you about these things and see if there's some way we can find some common ground, I think if you want to effectively move the issues that you want, that the thing to do is to talk to your representatives.
So
your
what we, I think I think
Let me respond to you, please.
Sure, but I think we're on the same page here. I think there's a way we can
if you will do that, and then have your representatives and your senators introduce bills, I would note that no bill has been introduced by a Republican or a Democrat addressing any of these things. And as you said, they've been out there for a long time, but I don't think there's a bill that's been introduced to address these 14 things, and so that's why we had the amendment prepared.
Sure.
All right, now on the issue of the teacher assistant.
Can I clarify though about what the ask would be?
Okay.
So yes, we all know that this is a representative democracy, right? We also all know that there are a lot of barriers for that, for people to participate in that on a regular basis. And what we think is possible is that we could set up a situation where the representatives that are here in Raleigh, we could set up a scenario in which we would bring folks to y'all. We could do some Twitter things, we could set up, modern technology allows for some pretty masterful kinds of communication. And we can set up a thing to say, look, yes, these folks were elected, but the reality is that y'all's approval ratings are pretty low right now. And I think that given where we are mid-course, right, we could stand to open the dialogue back up. Because the agenda that you came here and you said y'all were going to pass and you began moving, the reality is that the majority of North Carolinians are rejecting what you all are moving forward. And we think that it would be actually a much better sign of your openness to be representatives to open that conversation back up. And so that can look like a lot of different things. But we have to be able to move past, no one has communicated before now. We're saying, you're here, we're here, let's open up this conversation in a more meaningful way. So would you agree to have a meeting with a group of us, the people that we put together, the people that you put together by the end of this week, to develop a process to have a statewide conversation about public education on the week of 23rd to 27th of June?
Let me say I'll have to get back to you on that.
When can we get back?
I will let you know something about tomorrow.
Okay. So all right.
And we'll see if we can. On your first, I guess the question, the Senate has already passed its version of the budget. Sure. The House is going to adopt its version of the budget sometime this week, as well, I understand, and we'll go into conference. I can't tell you what's going to come out of the conference, okay? But I guess I would respond to that request with a question. Are you saying that you would prefer that we reduce the amount of the teacher raise? And okay, so I guess the question is, where would we get the money from to pay for that? Because and now there are some things that are I would assume that are non-negotiable as far as y'all are concerned. Okay. Well, there are some things that our folks feel are non-negotiable, and a tax increase is one of those. Okay. So if
it's actually not a tax increase, it's a repeal of a tax cut.
Well, it's already been. So the question is, you identify for me where the money's going to come from. Other than a tax increase, okay? You tell me where the money's gonna come from, other than a tax increase, and I will look at it, and our members will look at it.
Yeah, but when our
So if we put a conversation, so first you're saying that you are unwilling to consider tax increase.
We have,
or appeal of tax cuts.
what,
New revenue.
we ran on a platform of not raising taxes.
You went
on the middle class.
You know, we're getting into semantics now.
It's important.
Well, but we feel like that's a commitment that was made to the voters, not to raise taxes. So what I'm saying is, if you want us to both provide an 11% increase and not cut any teacher assistants, okay, show me where the money comes from, okay?
So by the end of the week, we could also sit down and bring some ideas.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in hearing what your ideas are.
Okay. And what about the question number 2, which is removing the stick that is attached to the carrot of these pay increases? Because what feels very, very clear, right? Last year, you all proposed the law that eliminated due process, right? That phased out due process, 25%, right? And resoundingly, teachers and school boards all across the state rejected that. And the state courts rejected that. You all came back with something this year to address that. So it's very, very clear that that's important to you, right? That getting rid of our due process rights is very important to you. It is very important to us that we keep them.
And we need to be clear as teachers, if we had stayed with step increases, we would be past that 11%. That 11% that is not funded past 1 year, we would be past that right now. Had we not been frozen 6 years ago. And to then tie that to our due process rights is wholly unfair.
So will you commit to removing that?
I can't commit to anything because it's not up to me.
You have a considerable amount of power.
No, you commit to support to push that. I'll say, look, we were wrong on repealing due process rights, and we were wrong to cut teachers. You can commit to that personally. And you can say that publicly. That's right. And that's all we're asking.
Now, okay. First of all, the tenure was repealed effective 2018. That's the law of North Carolina at the present time. There's been a Superior Court judge in 2 counties that has said that there's an issue with that. That is an issue that will work its way through the courts, and we'll find out whether or not that is something that could be done or couldn't be done. So you've got 2 Superior Court judges who have said that you can't repeal the tenure the way we did it.
But your budget was back in.
Well,
as a condition for paying.
No. What we do is we give teachers a choice.